Hey guys, Coach Lawson here. What really is mast cell activation syndrome? Well, MCAS is not a mystery. It's a real biological response to drivers, causes that are causing the mast cells to become unstabilized. So, conventional medicine is treating the reactions. So, antihistamines, mast cell stabilizers, elimination diets, these are all geared toward the reactions and the symptoms, and the identifiable causes are not being identified and therefore are not being addressed. So this is what this video is about, is learning about the instabilities of mast cells and actually the real reasons that it's actually happening. And conventional medicine simply doesn't identify the causes to mast cell activation. It's pretty straightforward. So MCAS is not who you are. It's simply what your immune system is doing to try to protect yourself from real toxicities, pathogens that basically are not cleared and essentially causing a malfunction in the mast cells. I've been a holistic immunity practitioner since 2013. I've seen hundreds of people with mast cell activation syndrome, and what I've identified in every single one of them was two things: environmental toxicity accumulation and deficiencies resulting in suppressed immune system, gut dysbiosis, and typically at least one major or multiple infections from that. I'm also the first and original practitioner to identify and effectively address uranium toxicity. Now, uranium toxicity is one of the most significant accumulated toxicities. It's a radioactive heavy metal, but it's one of the most significant factors in causing mast cell activation syndrome as well. This video is based on clinical observation, published research, and over a decade of my work. Mast cells are immune sentinels found in all the tissue, especially the gut, skin, lungs, and brain. When they are under fire with toxicities and infections, their job is to detect threats and release mediators such as cytokines, tryptase, and histamine. In MCAS, the mast cells are hypersensitive and overly chronically active. The result is multi-system inflammation. Symptoms can include hives, flushing, neurological, cardiovascular, brain fog, fatigue. The list goes on and on. Mast cell activation is not a primary condition, it's a secondary response. It's something happening that is a result of burdens happening inside the intestinal system, and those being toxicities and infections. And that distinction is everything when it comes to treatment outcomes. So your mast cells are not broken, they're just responding to something that's inside your body, a toxicity or an infection that's creating this burden and hasn't been identified and removed. The most significant mast cell activation causes I've seen in my practice are heavy metals, including uranium, other metals, including mercury, aluminum, lead, titanium, nickel, and a few more. Mold toxicity is one of the big problems with mast cell activation, and other non-metal toxicities as well: solvents, industrial components, plastics, rubbers, fumes, herbicides, pesticides, etc. These all create a suppressed immune system, which promotes mast cell activation syndrome. You become deficient in these nutrients, that's also promoting mast cell activation syndrome. So the combination with all these different toxicities and deficiencies, creating this immune suppression and dysbiosis in the gut is really, I was going to say fueling the mast cells, but it's just making them incredibly unstable, and they start spewing out all this excess histamine, tryptase, and cytokines. The conventional approach to mast cell activation is blocking and stabilizing the mast cells. H1 and H2 blockers are utilized. Chronically sodium is utilized. Low histamine diets are utilized. These approaches can reduce mast cell activation, but they're not addressing the real root causes of why the mast cells are unstable to begin with. It's essentially like turning down the fire alarm without putting out the fire. Patients often receive partial relief while the burdens keep piling up, and then they inevitably start to feel worse. They plateau out, and then they start to feel worse and worse because the underlying issues, the burdens are still there, and they're most likely being accumulated as well. It's a condition that patients are told is a lifelong sentence, and they're going to be forced to manage this for the rest of their life. So the condition is not permanent unless that's the avenue that you choose, symptom management, the symptom management approach. So again, real reasons, you have to identify these reasons. You have to effectively address these reasons, these root causes. But that's how we get mast cells stabilized. So in essence, we identify the environmental factors, the deficiencies, the infections, and we address all three of these simultaneously. This is not a quick protocol. It's a way to systematically reduce the burden and enable the mast cells to function properly. The results I've seen after all these years is the person regains quality of life. And typically, it's not just a little bit, it's a significant amount of quality of life, and that's what healing and good health is. It's quality of life. MCAS doesn't have to be your life sentence. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. We find the real root causes and effectively address them, and then healing happens and good health happens. And when you're healing and when you gain good health, guess what? With good health, you don't have symptoms. And your immune system recalibrates, strengthens, and you have an optimal immune system. So if you have MCAS and you've been told to management, this channel offers you another option, a little bit better of an option. So with over a decade of work, I am committed to finding real root causes to poor health. It could be MCAS, it could be autoimmune. It doesn't really matter what symptoms, but this is what this channel and myself are committed to doing. And I've been doing this for over a decade, about 13 years to be exact. And again, I am the pioneer of exposing uranium toxicity. Nearly 70% of my practice is uranium toxic, and it's one of the primary drivers in poor health, including mast cell activation syndrome. So please share this video with any person that is suffering from MCAS or any other severe chronic situation, and subscribe and turn on the notifications. And if you're ready to work with someone who actually looks at your real sources of MCAS, feel free to book a consultation with me. It's a 60-minute, completely complimentary session that we'll have. The link's below. Click on that link and get in touch, and we'll schedule our session. I'm Coach Lawson. See you in the next video.